Hello, Violaine. Thank you for being with us today. You are part of the French branch of Stock of Hope, as a few years ago you went through egg donation. Can you tell us your story? Why did you go through IVF or egg donation? Is it IVF or egg donation?
I think you can say both because IVF from one part and the other is egg donation. You can have IVF without an egg donation.
Okay.
In my
So,
case, I benefited from an egg donation, yes.
okay. And can you tell us why you made that decision?
Okay, so in my case, I suffer from deep endometriosis. So I had to undergo fertility treatments for a few years. And after a few years of unsuccessful attempts, my gynecologist advised me to go for an egg donation because there was no other really realistic option for me.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say it was a choice. It was more that or nothing.
Okay. What was your thought process? Did you have any question did you question yourself about the egg donation, or did you just trust your gynecologist and go for it?
No, initially I was totally against it because it seemed like something very unnatural, something I really didn't want. I believed that I could become a mother with my own eggs. I think, as any normal person, one would prefer being a mother of a child who has your own genes, right?
Yeah.
But after some time of all these unsuccessful attempts, it was the only option left. So when he announced that situation to me, I was really devastated emotionally. I was not really willing to accept that. But after a few months, it became a natural choice, almost, I would say. I think I must say also that during 2 years before that, I had to undergo um, psychological support as well to help me go through what I call a kind of mourning process.
Yeah. And
Uh,
it's not an easy decision. Did you have your family support as well?
Not really. My parents weren't really supportive of that. I think they didn't really understand. My mother even asked me why I was doing all this, who I was doing it for, since at the end that child was not going to be my child. So it didn't make sense to her. I didn't find it very supportive, for the least.
Mm.
My husband, on the other hand, yes, was very supportive. But I think this urge, this desire to become a mother was so strong, so deep that I was willing to accept that solution in the end. To me, I call it a mourning process. And as you may know, I'm in charge of, I don't know how you call it in English, groupe de parole,
Yeah, speaking group, sharing group, I would say.
sharing groups in France. Twice a month, there is a sharing group of French Storks of Hope. And people always ask this kind of questions. And I always tell them that it's very normal that you don't feel totally aligned with this decision because it's not something 100% natural, right? But you also should see that you're lucky because maybe 50 years ago, um, the doctor would just have said that there is no solution for you. You can only adopt. So I consider this as an opportunity looking back.
Yeah, it's quite good that your gynecologist did advise you for egg donation because, I mean, what I've heard from couples, sometimes doctors would just say you can't be a mom, and that's the end of it. So having
Mhm.
someone medical advising you for egg donation, it's quite good. And did the doctor or gynecologist help you then in the process of having egg donation because you went abroad to do it? Is that correct?
Yes, at that time I was reaching, I think, already the age of 41. And in France, the age limit is 43,
Okay.
knowing that if you go to a French public hospital, there is a waiting list of about 2 years, depending on which area you live in. So it didn't really make sense to wait for these 2 years since I was reaching the age limit. So
Hmm.
we went abroad immediately. He recommended a clinic, and it started that way.
Okay. And which country did you go?
Initially, he sent me to a clinic that he knew well in Spain.
Okay.
So I went to that clinic twice, but it was unsuccessful. Then, of my own initiative, I tried a third clinic in Spain as well. It was a very good clinic, very expensive, but it failed again. I must say that I'm a difficult case because of this severe endometriosis I suffer from. So I don't really blame the clinics for these failures. At that stage, we had already spent like a lot of money, and my husband said that, look, why don't we try the Czech Republic? Because a lot of people seem to be going to the Czech Republic and seem to have better success than us in Spain. So in the end, I agreed to that idea.
And it worked.
And it worked for the first time. After
Mhm.
6 years, I went to the Czech Republic and I became a mother. Yes.
And you mentioned earlier I mean, even what your mum said, which is quite harsh,
Yes.
saying it wouldn't be your daughter because the child via egg donation doesn't carry your genes. When your daughter was born, did you consider yourself as her mother and her being your daughter?
There is no question about that. As I always say, that child was conceived through deep love, a very deep love and desire to become parents. I would say deeper than if you just meet someone randomly after going to a disco party and you
Mm.
become pregnant by accident, right? In my case, it really was not an accident. So that question now of me being her mom or not does not exist. Plus,
Mm.
of course, I had to, undergo the whole pregnancy process, the delivery. Then I was lucky enough to be able to breastfeed her for 9 months. And
That's
of course, this bond, this strong bond builds over time, changing her diapers and taking care of her. And it continues. Now she's in middle school, so I take care of her homework. I pick her up from the school, etc. So I am her mom 100%. And a few times I asked her what she thought, whether I was her mom, and she just simply didn't understand the question
yeah. So
because
and she knows how she's been conceived.
she knows I've been telling her since she was maybe 1 or 2 years old. I think it's extremely important that the child knows, and there should be no mystery or nothing hidden about that because there is nothing to be ashamed of. It's a love decision that I made, so why not tell her? And it's good for her balance also to know the complete story right from the beginning. And of course, now that I'm a member of Storks of Hope, she knows even more because when I run these speech groups, each time she's in the apartment, so she hears every conversation, and sometimes she even comes and says hi. So, of course,
That's
she
good.
knows completely her story.
What advice would you give to either woman with severe endometriosis or any couple struggling to procreate?
Important to take care of yourself more because during those 6 years, I didn't take care of myself enough, I would say, from an emotional, psychological point of view. My only goal was to become pregnant at any cost. And then you realize later on that, yes, you have suffered a lot. So I always recommend, having a follow up from a therapist. It doesn't really matter what sort of therapy, but something that benefits to you with someone you feel good about and someone you feel you can trust and who can really support you. I think that's very important. Also, I would say spend time having happy moments with your partner besides the parenthood project. Go for holidays, enjoy life, be happy. Also, take care of your intimacy as a couple. It's important.
Mm. Yeah,
Um, yes.
yeah, it's so that you don't forget your the couple history as well, in a way.
Yes, because I see that sometimes the process becomes so hard that after some time, the only thing that links, that bonds these two people together is that project. And once the baby comes, sometimes it becomes a little bit blurred. What are we going
Yeah.
to do now? So it's
Mm.
important also if you want to maintain your relationship to be careful with that aspect. And also, I would say be patient. Don't lose hope. Continue. Try again and again, and know that it might fail, but maybe next time it might work, right?
Thank you very much for sharing your story, Violaine, and I do hope it will help other people with fertility issues or severe endometriosis as well, because it's quite hard. You can visit a website, which is www.stalksofhope.com. And thank you again, Violaine,
Thank
and
you.
hope to see you soon. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye.